Hello and welcome to the Capitol Report on NTD Television. I'm Steve Lance. A new record in Eagle Pass, Texas. More than 1,000 illegal immigrants crossing in just 5 hours. This is even after news broke that the Supreme Court is allowing Title 42 to stay in place for at least the next several months. The Biden administration saying they have a plan to replace the temporary rule, yet some are not convinced. NTD's Melina Wisecup brings us the story.
A temporary border policy extended yet again after 19 states pled for the nation's highest court to keep it, for fear of what the already unmanageable border crisis could become once Title 42 is lifted. It's estimated that tens of thousands are waiting to cross the border.
We still don't have anything concrete. We're waiting for something to happen in these hours. Otherwise, we'll have to cross somewhere illegally.
Some already crossed, now lining the streets. Eagle Pass, Texas, hitting a record overnight, 1,100 migrants in just 5 hours. Or shown here in El Paso, Texas. With the Supreme Court's recent approval, Border Patrol holds the authority to quickly expel legal immigrants under Title 42, a public rule enacted during the pandemic. But El Paso's mayor says the issue runs too deep for one policy to solve.
We've gotten about $10 million in front money to be able to provide the service. But again, this is just a Band-Aid on a broken immigration system. The system has to be fixed because we can't continue to go this way.
The Biden administration says it's prepared and is ready for Title 42 to end, pointing to a 6-point plan the DHS says they've implemented since April. That plan includes measures like sending more resources, border agents and processors to the border, and imposing consequences for illegal crossers. It also leverages alternatives to detention, allowing illegal migrants to be released by DHS to await their day in court.
The approach that the Biden administration has taken, that everyone should have the chance to come in and make a claim in court for asylum and have a work permit while they're waiting for their case to be heard, that's a huge incentive for people to bring children with them, say that they fear return to their home country, and obtain the opportunity to live in the United States for years until their court date comes up.
Now, many have said that a more permanent solution would be to enforce the immigration laws that are already on the books. For example, Congressman Henry Cuellar, a Democrat from Texas, points out that there is already a law that bans people from claiming asylum for 5 years if they have already been removed from the country after crossing illegally. He also says that there should be updates to Title 8 that would allow for a quicker removal that would take just days instead of months. But the interesting thing here is that lawmakers from both sides, as well as the Biden administration, have expressed the need to update what they call outdated immigration laws. But the issue here is how exactly, which direction exactly to go in when they are updating these laws. This has caused a stalemate on the issue on Capitol Hill. There have been a number of bipartisan proposals that have come forth, but none of these bipartisan proposals have actually been given the priority that they would need to actually start debate and negotiation that would actually allow lawmakers to come to a solution that could pass Congress. Reporting in Washington, D.C., Melina Wisecup, NTD News.
A prosecutor said she will investigate Congressman-elect George Santos. This as Democrats are calling for him to resign after revelations that he lied about his previous resume. Ann Donnelly, the Republican district attorney for Nassau County, said in a Wednesday statement that if a crime was committed in this county, that she will prosecute it. It comes after Santos admitted Monday to fabricating key parts of his resume, including that he did not graduate from Baruch College or work for Citigroup or Goldman Sachs. But in an interview last night, he attempted to clarify.
We work alongside GPs and LPs to help them place this capital. This is what I was doing, and that's when I worked extensively with these firms. But I feel like nobody really wants to sit down and talk about it. Everybody just wants to push me and call me a liar.
While Santos apologizes for what he calls resume embellishment, he insists that he's still fit for office.
I'm not a fraud. I'm not a criminal who defrauded the entire country and made up this fictional character and ran for Congress. I've been around a long time.
The Democrat he defeated in November is now calling for a special election, and some House Democrats are urging the House to expel him if he refuses to step down. And a fellow Long Island Republican, Congressman-elect Nick LaLota, is calling for Santos to face scrutiny from the House Ethics Committee. But Santos sounding defiant.
Agree. If they put all 435 members of the House through the same scrutiny they're putting me under, I'd really like to see the New York Times should increase in page count.
This is not the first time lawmakers have been caught misrepresenting their backgrounds. Senator Richard Blumenthal of Connecticut, for example, said he served in Vietnam, though he did not. And Senator Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts had to apologize after inaccurately calling herself a Native American for nearly 2 decades. The House can expel members with 2/3 of a vote, but it's extremely rare. In response to the COVID-19 outbreak in China, the CDC is imposing new rules for travelers coming from China. From January 5th, passengers originating from China must have a negative COVID test result within 2 days before flying. The rule will apply to all passengers regardless of nationality or vaccination status. Health officials are concerned over the situation in China as infections have been spreading since the regime ended its strict zero COVID policy, including travel restrictions. Recently, China has stopped reporting key numbers about the outbreak. So far, Japan, India, Taiwan, and Italy's Lombardia region have also imposed testing requirements from people traveling from China. Dr. Li-Meng Yan is a virologist, and she was also one of the lone voices blowing the whistle at the onset of the pandemic over how the Chinese communist regime allowed the virus to spread around the world, all the while covering up the outbreak inside of China. With COVID cases again skyrocketing across China, Dr. Yan joins us to discuss. Dr. Li-Meng Yan, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Doctor, there are reports that an estimated 250 million people in China have just recently been infected by the COVID virus in a very short period of time. It's in a country that obviously is not forthcoming when it comes to data. What do you make of this, and have you been hearing anything from your contacts inside of China?
Yes, I'm working now with a lot of people based in China to get the firsthand information because China government didn't share the real information. And the thing is, I've been studying it for days until now for several weeks. We see a lot of in common as what happened in Wuhan in the early 2020 at that outbreak. And also we see the situation getting worse and worse. And it cannot only explained using the immune response difference or the coverage of vaccination or the nature origin outbreak. There are a lot of suspicious things happened, which we need more information. However, what we can see is first, we don't know what exactly virus variant circulating in China, although government told the people that it's Omicron, but the symptom is much more severe on average in the population, and transmission is very high. And also we see the death toll increasing like crazy with a lot of more people have the pneumonia, even they are the healthy adults. And also we see government, of course, there are man-made factors to make situation worse because government control the drug supply and they don't allow people to get the useful medicine, and the hospitals are overloaded. And the thing is, what happened now is very concerning, but China is already going to reopen, gradually reopen, and they will formally reopen right after this new year. So if at that time the virus tsunami come out of China going to the world, it's really a big worry that whether we have prepared to handle it, what will happen.
Now, to your point, are the conditions ripe, based on what you're seeing in China right now, for another variant to emerge? And I also want to ask you, Japan has just implemented restrictions on Chinese travelers starting, I believe, on December 30th. And should the international community be concerned about visitors traveling from China to other countries at this moment?
Of course. We know that back to 2020, when Wuhan locked down, but China managed to send some of the travelers all over the world. And then soon after, we see the pandemic coming from Italy and then later come to America. And this time, it's not only Wuhan. There are multiple big cities, even larger than Wuhan, like Shanghai, Guangzhou, Beijing. They all get into this kind of outbreak, viral tsunami, and we don't know why the things become so terrible because the people like to get symptoms at the same time, and also from the young people to elderly. It's kind of that we need more examination and preparation, but now, if we don't give the travel ban or this kind of restriction, I'm worried that we don't have enough time to prepare for all of this.
So let me ask you, why do you think we have seen such a sudden shift in policy from COVID zero to essentially opening up the floodgates overnight in China?
Oh, yeah. So we really can say that the first thing is because of the white paper revolution. It actually clearly threatened the Chinese Communist Party government and also Xi Jinping. So that makes a very strong that instability for the Xi Jinping's control in domestically. And also after that, we see right after that, we see the international pressure come to China government because the House Intelligence Committee has recently published a report pointed out the connection between COVID-19 virus and also China's government's bioweapons study, and also they want to find out the origin of COVID. They also said they will hold Chinese Communist Party accountable. So this is very big international pressure for Xi Jinping's regime. And so that's why it's a very suspicious timing that suddenly China government showed a step down, and then they said, okay, we lift the zero COVID policy and let you have the freedom. However, after that, immediately the virus outbreak come and people suffered in this outbreak. So there is no protest now. And also because the other government don't know what is happening in China. So since China has gained more time to do other things, to conduct other tactics or operations. So for certain level, this kind of outbreak helped Xi Jinping to make more time or chance for their own purpose.
Dr. Li-Meng Yan, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Members of the House of Representatives and their staff will no longer be able to use TikTok on electronic devices managed by the House. Lawmakers and staff members who have the short video app on the government mobile device must uninstall it. The internal notice announcing the change identified TikTok as a high risk to users due to a number of security reasons. Separately, the government is expected to soon ban TikTok from all federal devices. This was included in the $1.7 trillion government spending bill awaiting President Biden's signature. Today, Kansas Governor Laura Kelly signed an executive order banning TikTok from government devices. So far, almost 24 states have at least partially blocked the app from state-managed equipment. They cite fears that the Chinese regime could use it to track Americans and censor content. Thank you for watching the Capitol Report. If you want to see our full broadcast, check us out at epochtv.com.